Yang Lanlan, just 23 years old, with no job and no public profile, drove a $1 million Rolls-Royce into a violent crash while sitting on a fortune vast enough to rival the GDP of a small nation. To Australian police, she's a suspected money launderer. To Beijing insiders, she may be something far more dangerous. Xi Jinping's hand-picked white glove, moving his family's hidden billions offshore and laying the groundwork for an escape plan no one dares to talk about. The truth behind this story, let's uncover it right now on China Unfiltered. Before we dive into all of this, let us know in the comments where you're watching this video from. Connecting with viewers across the world is a huge source of inspiration for us. Yang Lanlan, Xi Jinping's groomed white glove? At this moment, Australian headlines are still ablaze, chasing every lead about Yang Lanlan's powerful family background. How wealthy must she be for a 23-year-old to hold, in her own name, a fortune rumored to reach 270 billion Australian dollars, approximately 1.2 trillion RMB, in mostly cash? Some insiders insist the figure is inflated, a smokescreen hiding a far deeper and more vicious power struggle within Zhong Nanhai's inner circle. The real mystery: no trace of legitimate business filings, no tax records, no social media presence, no official paper trail. Yet she moves money across borders on a scale that would sink most billionaires under compliance laws. The question gripping the public: where did this fortune come from? And how is she able to shift it overseas without tripping any alarms? That's when an old rumor roared back to life. A viral post claiming Swiss banks are quietly safeguarding a jaw-dropping 7.8 trillion yuan, over $1 trillion for 100 senior Chinese Communist Party officials. This tale has floated around for years, but the moment it resurfaced, China's Cyberspace Administration in Fujian scrambled into emergency mode, dismissing it as a total fabrication and swearing Swiss authorities have never released such figures. Still, independent voices inside China trace the number to a 2017 UBS wealth report. While they avoided naming CCP officials outright, they pointedly mentioned a Middle Eastern royal family member storing mountains of gold in a Zurich vault. The subtext was impossible to miss. That vault, by the way, according to commentator Li Muyang, said to be buried over 20 floors underground, shielded to withstand a nuclear blast, and open only to those depositing at least $5 million. For decades, CCP elites have funneled domestic gains abroad, snapping up real estate in the US, Canada, Australia, Europe, and yes, locking fortunes away in Swiss banks. It's an open secret. Many top CCP officials fly to Switzerland just to open accounts. Chinese disciplinary bodies have even documented the process in forensic detail, exposing a chillingly organized escape plan they call fleeing abroad without leaving. Here's the playbook. Move assets across borders, send relatives overseas in advance, secure multiple foreign passports, funnel favors and benefits before stepping down, vanish, hiding in luxury abroad, legalize the new identity. China's banking system has also disclosed 8 major money laundering tactics of CCP insiders, from hand-carrying suitcases of cash across borders, to faking import-export trades through underground networks, to creating offshore shell companies. And here's the part raising eyebrows in Beijing. Every one of these patterns, the escape routes, the laundering pipelines, has flourished during Xi Jinping's decade in power. Now they're all being dragged into the light at once. Is this just coincidence, or is someone, somewhere, gunning for Xi? If you're still watching, comment 1, so I know you're still with me. Xi Jinping's Trillion-Yuan cash machine unmasked. At the same time, Xi Jinping's so-called legal income, massive book royalties, has drawn public attention. Exiled former Inner Mongolia official Du Wen calls it a topic most wouldn't dare touch. Using Mao Zedong's publishing record as a baseline, Du notes Mao's work sold 5.3 billion copies, earning 131.21 million yuan in royalties, equivalent to 140 to 149 billion yuan today, nearly $21.7 billion. Xi's output, he argues, has eclipsed Mao's by a wide margin. Average sales over 150 million copies, with the Governance of China series potentially exceeding 500 million, perhaps even 1 to 2 billion copies. These aren't market successes, Du stresses, but products of institutional compulsion. Under CCP rules, incumbent leaders' books may only be published by state-backed houses like the People's Publishing House or the Central Literature Publishing House. Royalties run 11 to 15%, paid in full once print runs are set, with funds drawn directly from the central budget. What Du derides as using public money to show loyalty. The purchases themselves are overwhelmingly taxpayer-funded. Nearly 100 million party members each get a copy. Civil service exams and party-building courses require them. Agencies bulk buy for distribution. Du cites the Longgang District Education Bureau in Shenzhen, which budgeted 559,200 yuan, nearly $80,000 for Volume 4 alone, one of countless such cases. Copies are also ordered for prisons, minor political parties, state firms, and even overseas Belt and Road partners. Du calculates that a 1 million copy run at 30 yuan per copy yields 3.3 million yuan, about $460,000 in royalties at 11%. And when multiplied across hundreds of millions or billions of copies, plus fees media outlets must pay per word to reprint Xi's speeches, the total could reach hundreds of billions, even trillions of yuan. The works themselves, he adds, aren't written by Xi but by party-paid teams, making the income institutionalized corruption. He even hints that some of the money may have gone into Yang Lanlan's account, pointing to possible family wealth transfers. His claim finds echoes overseas. Commentator Wen Zhao says the Yang Lanlan affair has blown open the CCP elite's dark web of offshore wealth transfers. Despite an M2 money supply over 300 trillion yuan, nearly $42 trillion, China is in deflation. Despite a US $826 billion trade surplus, reserves aren't growing. Evidence, Wen argues, of massive capital flight via inflated imports such as Australian iron ore. Yang Lanlan's opulent lifestyle, he says, is a textbook case. At just 23, with no job, she boasts a garage full of luxury cars worth millions, multiple mansions in her name and closets crammed with designer goods, a fortune in the billions of Australian dollars. Now, Australian police are investigating her wealth on suspicion of money laundering. If you're still watching, comment 1, so I know you're still with me. How Xi Jinping's family built a global web of wealth. The Yang Lanlan scandal doesn't stand alone. It taps into a long, well-documented trail of Chinese Communist Party elites moving fortunes offshore. Now, U.S. intelligence has put part of that picture on the record. In March 2025, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, ODNI, released Wealth and Corrupt Activities of the Leadership of the Chinese Communist Party. Its conclusion: more than a decade into Xi Jinping's anti-corruption drive, his family still controls assets worth several billion US dollars. His siblings, nieces, and nephews alone hold commercial investments and real estate exceeding US $1 billion, amassed through political privilege and insider access that feed both private and state-owned ventures. The report describes corruption in China as deeply entrenched. 65% of officials multiply their income 4 to 6-fold through bribes, with top leaders reaping the biggest windfalls. Between 2012 and 2022, 5 million officials were investigated and 4.7 million convicted. But the prosecutions overwhelmingly targeted political rivals rather than financial crimes. ODNI stops short of tying the assets directly to Xi, but notes they may be managed on his behalf. The findings mirror earlier revelations. In 2012, Bloomberg pegged the Xi family's wealth at US $376 million, spread across real estate, rare earths, and tech. His sister Qiao Qiao and her husband controlled Shenzhen Yuanwei Investment, US $288 million. Niece Zhang Yanan held US $20.2 million in Hikvision shares, and brother-in-law Deng Jiagui indirectly owned 18% of Jiangxi Rare Earth and Rare Metals Tungsten Group, US $1.73 billion. The exposé triggered death threats against reporter Michael Forsyth, and Bloomberg was promptly blocked in China. The International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, ICIJ, using the Panama Papers in 2014 and 2016, showed Deng Jiagui and others creating offshore entities to conceal assets. It is common knowledge that China's political elite build intricate tax haven networks to hide fortunes, and Xi's clan is no exception. A 2025 U.S. Congressional Research Service report found that Xi and other top leaders had concealed over US $700 million through relatives. Commentator Edward Wenming points to one key branch: Qianan, Xi's second sister, and her husband Wu Long. Wu's rise was meteoric. As chairman of Guangzhou New Postcom Equipment Co., he outmaneuvered global giants like Motorola in China Mobile's equipment tenders, winning contract after contract and emerging as a shadow powerhouse in the telecom sector. By 2023, the family had sunk deep into China's electric vehicle boom. Enter Fu Dan-niu, a Briton raised in Wimbledon who embedded himself in China's new energy industry, then married Xi's niece Wu Yaning, becoming the family's son-in-law. The marriage catapulted him into elite circles. In 2022, when struggling US EV maker Fisker planned its China entry, Fu appeared on its China board, a clear signal that Xi family influence and state resources would smooth the way. The Daily Telegraph charted his leap from a young expat haunting Beijing bars to a political power broker hosting CEOs and world leaders in the Great Hall of the People. A transformation only possible by marrying into the Xi dynasty. And then there's the shadow brother, Xi Jinping. 3 years younger, he once admitted he lived in his brother's shadow. WikiLeaks records show he had emigrated to Hong Kong before the 1997 handover. Officially, he is a Hong Kong permanent resident and an Australian citizen. Unlike Xi Jinping, Jinping embraced capitalism, thriving in Hong Kong's free market economy. He married actress Lanlan, celebrated as the military's #1 beauty, and had a son with his ex-wife, Xi Mingjing, a Hong Kong national and Georgetown graduate who reportedly worked at Tsinghua University under the name Xi Mingjing to stay off the radar. Against that backdrop, the secretive, low-profile life of Xi's alleged illegitimate daughter, Yang Lanlan, fits a long family pattern. Jinping keeps out of politics, but serves as the family's public face at key memorials for their father, Xi Zhongxun, while discreetly wielding influence in the Xi stronghold of Shanxi. When Xi Jinping was posted to Shanghai as heir apparent, he ordered Jinping to withdraw entirely from the city's business scene. To Xi's surprise, the normally headstrong brother complied, selling assets and returning home to care for their mother. And beyond these wealth transfers, Xi has engineered a state-mandated publishing empire, thousands of titles printed in massive runs, purchased with public funds, generating royalties of 11 to 20%. It's a vanity project turned cash machine on a colossal scale. So when jaw-dropping claims emerge, like Yang Lanlan allegedly sitting on 1.2 trillion yuan in Australian bank accounts, the public's instinct is immediate: link it to Xi. For 13 years, no one else has wielded such absolute power to turn the state apparatus into a personal wealth engine, laundering fortunes into something both legal and brazenly self-serving. In Duan's account, Yang Lanlan isn't just connected, she's Xi's hand-picked white glove, moving his riches offshore and paving safe escape routes. If you're still watching, comment 1, so I know you're still with me. Xi Jinping's greatest fear. Over 13 years at China's helm, Xi Jinping has amassed a long list of enemies. According to commentator Edward, his brutal anti-corruption purge, which felled 7 million tigers and ensnared their families, has left behind a curse of hatred that clings to him like a shadow. Behind the curtain, power brokers who truly pull the strings circle like predators, waiting for the moment to strike. Abroad, the international community grows ever more dismissive, greeting him with snubs and public humiliations. Scandals swirl, illness creeps in, and the weight of it all has left him physically and mentally drained. Yet his deepest fear is not just staying in power, it's leaving it. Not merely revenge from enemies or his ingrained lust for power. In a drunken admission to confidant He Lifeng, Xi confessed his real terror. Once out, who will protect the vast hidden fortune he's amassed? Who will safeguard the lives and wealth of more than 100 family members? He spent a lifetime clawing to the summit, only to be caged in the authoritarian empire he built. Now danger closes in from all sides, and he's fighting not just for billions, perhaps trillions, stashed overseas, but for his own survival. Did he see this ending coming? Maybe. Maybe not. But it's the road he chose. And there's no turning back. That's all for today's episode. If you found this story insightful, share your thoughts in the comment section and let us know what you think about the topic. Don't forget to like and subscribe, so you don't miss any future episodes. Thanks for staying tuned. We'll see you next time.